Hello again. Here we are to do our podcast. I'm Angela Levin. I've written biographies of Queen Camilla and Prince Harry. And
I'm Nana Akua, and I have a little show on TV News, but I'm also a real follower of the royal family, and in particular, the Harkles. You know how I like to chat about Meghan and Harry.
we are very, very surprised and delighted how many of you sent really, really nice comments about us. We had a couple of suggestions that we should be by a table, which we're not quite sure about that yet.
Maybe.
And we've also said wipe out talking about Prince Harry because we're fed up with him. So today we're going to put him at the end of our conversation. But just you can't not talk about what he's doing. But we will just read you just 2 or 3 of the very nice things that people have said.
Where is it? Well, anyway, the comments were very kind, and we're very thankful that you thought that you enjoyed the podcast. I hear you. Somebody said about the 1080p and to sort out the sort of settings, the video settings. We will sort them out. Are you ready, Angela?
Yes.
Okay.
Stephen, I love Angela and Nana. They are such kindred spirits. I could listen to them all day. Thank you. Another one said, initials were M and A brilliant collaboration of my 2 favourite broadcasters.
Aww.
So very pleased. So we're even more very pleased.
We are very pleased.
Yeah.
We're just having a chat,
Okay.
but we're glad you enjoy it.
Yes.
Right, so what should we kick this off with?
I think we should talk about Andrew.
Yeah, let's talk about Andrew. He's been
Stumping about.
kicked out of his big old mansion to a smaller thing.
And he's not said he'll go there yet. But also he's very, very annoyed that his brother, Prince Charles, King Charles, won't pay £32,000 a year for him to have an Indian guru who's helping him with healing. His mother did, but his brother won't. He's very, very cross.
Well, would you imagine it? Oh, could you mind 32 grand for an Indian guru for healing? I mean, these people, what planet does he think he's on?
Well, I think he doesn't really feel he's on the normal person's planet.
Yeah, well, he better get kicked into touch with that one. So what's happening with Frogmore Cottage then?
Well, I mean, they've left him to make his decision. I think King Charles and Queen Camilla have got much more to do than to keep on asking whether he wants to do. And it won't be for a few months, but he's got to make up his mind. What he has made up his mind about, which is quite shocking, is that he wants to do another interview about what happened.
Like the one he did with what's her name? Emily Mavis.
Yeah.
You shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do that. Remember?
Please don't. But also, one of the reasons why I said please don't is that Netflix is coming out with a program which shows how awful the whole thing was. And it's got all these great characters going to act for him. And I think the person who's doing him is Rufus Sewell is playing Andrew. And Billy Piper is saying Sam McAllister, who is the producer and has since become very well known because of that. But honestly,
he shouldn't do it. I mean, you know, at the end of that Emily made this thing, he said, "Oh, that's gone quite well, hasn't it?"
Well, he did think
he thought it had gone well. He
told his mother it had gone really well. Now, you know, you could see you were gasping at the horror of it all. So the fact that he wants to redo it is absolute nonsense. So we'll have to wait and see. But he's not quite understanding what maybe didn't happen, but which he was accused of, and he just has to be quiet. And King Charles has said he wants him to pay out his own money. The Queen gave him nearly $250,000 every year for his expenses, but King Charles has said no, I'm not doing that either. So he's in a real state.
Well, what's he going to spend it on anyway? I mean, what does he do? He doesn't do anything.
Well,
he hasn't got a job. He's got no announcements or engagements because we don't want him to do anything because of the whole Epstein business, which of course he never he pleaded that he was totally not guilty of any of that, and he never was found guilty of it. But that's not the point, is it? He's got nothing to do. So what does he need the money for?
Well, I mean, I think I think slightly differently. I think that if you want the money, you have to have a job of some sort. You know, if you have to be part of the Royals and go on duties and do that, but he's not allowed to do that because of the dark cloud that's hanging over him still. And he can't just expect to get £250,000 pocket money, can he? It's just not on.
Spoiled, aren't they? They're so spoiled. It's, you know, look, I don't mind. I don't mind paying for a royal family. I'm quite happy to fork out. I think it's only £1 a year or whatever. I'm quite happy.
25, I think.
Exactly. So that's fine. I think that's value for money,
Yeah.
but not for him. I'm sorry, but he doesn't do anything. He's embarrassed the family. I mean, what can you do with him at the end of the day? I mean, what can they do with him?
Well, he is an embarrassment. I think he's just an embarrassment. So let's
move
pass
on. Let's pass on.
Yes, great.
Can we talk about Harry? I'm going to talk about
Yeah, we'll talk about Harry. We'll soon. We'll talk about Harry. First of all, we're going to talk about the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh. That is Edward and Sophie. And I want to say how pleased I am for them, because I think they've, the opposite of Andrew, they've worked incredibly hard. They've been very quiet, and they've done, gone around the world doing things about people who are really having difficult times. And I think particularly for Sophie, apparently she said, phew, thank goodness I won't have to curtsy to Meghan, because this is the #1 title that you can have other than king, and so she really deserves it. The Queen adored her. She used to call her mama, and she used to go to church with her regularly, and she was always there for her. And the Queen said what she really liked about her was that you didn't know she was there. That's not rude. That just means that she was quiet and got on with things, unlike another Duchess that we know who makes a huge fuss about absolutely everything. But we will get onto her later.
It's actually become very bossy, I have to say. No. Well, yeah, no, I look, the title that she had, the Wessex title, didn't really exist. I mean, there is no place called Wessex. So if anybody should have that title, it should be Meghan and Harry, because obviously most people in Sussex aren't probably very happy that they have that title. But she's one of those, and I like it when I see the royals getting on with their business, just doing what they do, but quietly, and going about their business, doing all the serving this country without expecting anything in return. And that's why I'm happy to put my money out for these people. Yeah. But it's the ones who have forgotten why they're there and seem to think it's all about them that we'll be getting onto very shortly.
Yes, they went to Edinburgh just after it was announced, and there were loads and loads of people there cheering for him. And that's what we want. We want people cheering for the royal family rather than going there with placards saying "Not our king."
So now let's talk about Harry and Meghan. I'm sorry, but I couldn't resist, because Harry has been going on about how wonderful his experience was with this particular drug. And people have been writing in. I read one particular article of this woman who said that her sister died because of this drug that he's going on about, saying how it helped him and how irresponsible it is of him to talk in this way about this drug. And also, if you've ever watched The Royal Rogue, Jesus Enriquez Rosas, he did a piece about this interview that was done with this Professor Mate. And Jesus said that actually, to diagnose somebody with ADD, you probably spend about 6 months doing that. So for this guy to diagnose Harry with ADD over a podcast or after reading his book seems somewhat ridiculous.
Well, he also diagnosed him with 3 or 4 other things. And he said he was very depressed. He's very, very anxious. He's suffering from all sorts of things. And I thought, good heavens, he didn't suffer from that before he'd met Meghan. But all these things have come on. He wasn't like this. He wasn't absolutely a wreck. And probably the drugs haven't helped in any way whatsoever. I mean, it's really terrible. But what is odd is that, he hates the royal family. He criticises them, his father, his brother. Yet they've labelled their daughter Princess Lilibet. What do you make of that?
Well, they obviously want the titles without any of the hard work at all. And they're quite happy to take all the goodness of stuff, but they're not prepared to put anything in. I think the problem with them, and I think perhaps maybe Meghan's beginning to understand, is that royalty is far greater than Hollywood. Hollywood rubs off. It's like a shiny thing that you rub off and it dissolves. Whereas royalty is something that continues on through generation after generation, and it is revered. It's above all of them. I don't think she realised that. And now the penny may well be dropping. Do you think that she's beginning to realise what she was exchanging was this wonderful thing that is revered all around the world for something that is just shiny and just disappears?
Maybe.
Do you think she's realising?
You may be right, but I think she also wanted to come in quick with the princess between the Edinburgh Award and also being thrown out of Frogmore Cottage, that she wanted to do something tit for tat, but a very big tat. And so they've had this christening and calling her princess, which I think is really terrible for a couple to say they want their own children to make their minds up to what they want when they're older, because she's already been lumbered with a very heavy burden, which for a little girl is really difficult. I mean, all little girls like to be princesses if they go to parties, but they won't like it if there's just one in their classroom who's a princess and they have to sort of curtsy or bow down to her. I think she will get a lot of bullying. I hope she doesn't.
Do you
But
think?
what on earth? But also, she's American. She doesn't know anything about the royal family. She doesn't anything know about her family at all.
It's really sad that that woman didn't allow her to really get to meet the Queen. Because, you know, like if I was Lilibet, and you know, I would have been really upset if I didn't actually get to spend time with the Queen. You know what I mean?
The Queen, but
She
also
could have
her
easily done that.
cousins. I mean, she's got no cousins because she doesn't speak to her father.
But she could have
and her
easily had
family.
that. She could have had that.
Yes, that's the problem. She could have had that, and she knows nothing about it. And I think it's they're using her and Archie as means to make their own money and to get publicity. And I think that if you do that for your own children, something's really very wrong.
I think
and they know they've got the title because they had it the moment the Queen died, because after 3 generations they're within the 3 generations, so they get the title. But they could have done it when they're 18, 21, know a bit of the world and what they want to do. But to give them when they're still 1, you know, lumber it, I just think it's very unkind, actually.
Well, it's regrettable that they've not really got to get involved with the royal family and get to understand more about their background. I don't know why Meghan would think that would be a good idea. I don't get it. I don't think she understands. And I really don't think she did understand the concept of how the titles are passed down, because what she said in the Oprah interview clearly was totally wrong when she said that potentially because of the color of his skin, he was not going to be become a prince, and then later on said that because King Charles wasn't a king, that's why. So she kind of did understand and didn't understand, and yet she contradicted herself, and now it's clear that she just doesn't get it.
Yeah, but Harry, when I was talking to him for his biography, he told me that he spent a tremendous amount of time telling her the pros and cons, what will happen, how it all works, because it's very, very difficult. Camilla tried to do it. The Duchess of Edinburgh, I shall call her by that name, she also tried to do it, and Meghan kept refusing anyone to learn anything. But Harry was the one who had it in his hands and was responsible for informing her of as much as possible. And if she said, well, when am I going to be queen, or when am I going to be have children who are royal, and he would have told her, because he knows backwards. So why didn't he do it?
She wasn't listening.
She
wasn't listening.
She
like in her head, and we could be a princess, and there were princess things, and there'd be princess.
I'm going to be queen, not princess. I want to be queen, number one.
No, she would have known she wasn't going to be queen, but I think she saw in her head all the stuff, the little tiaras and the outfits and everything, and she just fallen into the idea of.
Well, that's where we get to. Do we still think they're coming? We took a bet last time, and I offered 2 coffees, 2 cups of tea, and some sushi, and you offered me.
What did I offer you? Anything? I was just going to think I was going to win. And some cake. I was expecting to win. I wasn't going to give anything.
So, where are we now? Do you think still they'll come, both of them?
But did I say I thought they would come? I can't remember what I said. Did I say?
I thought they wouldn't. You thought they would?
I think they will. I still think they will come. The reason I think they'll come is because she cannot resist an event like this. She can't help herself. They've got nothing else anyway. I mean, he's sold his soul, hasn't he? He's told us all about his mental health stuff. What's she got left? There's nothing left, is there?
No,
nothing else to say
left. But she will want to wear a tiara. I mean, that will be very important.
God.
But the thing that might stop it all is that they haven't invited the children to come to Westminster. Well, I think that's right. You can't have a 1.5-year-old running around or crying. But that means that they're not going to get their children in the public eye, which I think they'll be very cross about, because they'll get more money about that for a Netflix thing.
Do you think?
But the other thing that is interesting about talking about Netflix is that the next issue of The Crown, they're going to show Harry, the actor Harry, with his Nazi uniform on, which he wore to go to a fancy dress party. He blamed William and Catherine for encouraging him to wear it. But of course, he's quite capable of saying, no, I'm not going to. I think it will be very, very humiliating for him.
Even wearing an outfit that he would have had to put on himself, he's managed to blame somebody else.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's ridiculous. Look, he must have known, anybody with half a brain would know, that wearing a Nazi outfit to anything, especially a party, and especially if you're royal, is not a good look. It's not a good idea.
William went as a lion or a tiger, I think.
Exactly.
So that's you can't make anybody upset about that.
And then he's managed now to blame somebody else for something that he put on himself.
But it will be. Now he's now supposed to be so good about racism.
Oh yeah, he gets it now, does he?
But so he'll be very, very angry that Netflix, who he's done all this work for, couldn't give a hoot and are going to actually show him in that uniform anyway.
Well, we deserve
it.
We deserve it after the South Park. How do I privacy talk? Where what privacy? Where what privacy? Everyone's having a go. Yeah, no, those two. I don't know. It's worrying. I don't know where it's going to end with these two. I have a feeling that she's setting him up for divorce anyway, because she's sort of stepped back. I have a feeling she is.
Yes, I have to agree with you here. I'm quite sad about that, actually, because he can't even see it. But I think that any wife has got obligations, or any partner has got obligations to help the person that they're with and say, don't do this, don't talk about drugs, because you might never come back to America again. They might not let you in. Don't keep on moaning because we've heard it. Don't tell everybody everything about you. You were very dignified. Don't throw it all away. I just think that as a partner, you have a feeling of responsibility, don't you agree?
I think she's slightly laughing at him. We all are, and both of them actually. You would think that she's trying to help him, but I just see her as somebody that wants to help herself. He's very useful to her. Maybe she loves him, maybe she doesn't. It's not really any of my business, but all I see is that as I actually have some sort of feeling, I sort of care for Prince Harry, seeing as he kind of grew up as I was growing up, and I care about his story with his mum. But this thing that he's on and this behavior that he's demonstrating is not really very pleasant, and it's not somebody that I actually like. So I can see this is going to end badly. I don't see them lasting. I see it ending in divorce.
I agree with you about that. If you find somebody wealthier and smarter, then she'll go. But this at the moment, that she needs lots of these royal things to prove that she's still a royal. So let's go to somebody who I think you like.
Yeah, let's do it.
Catherine.
Catherine's beautiful, isn't she? Lovely.
Yes.
She's so stunning. I love the combats. Catherine brought in combats. She's brought them back. They're trendy. They're stylish. I'm going to wear my combats next time.
Next time you're sitting here. Okay. But what's interesting is that her husband, Prince William, has been colonel of the 1st Grenadier Guards in Ireland, and on St. Patrick's Day she's taking over to become colonel, and he's leaving her to do it on her own. I just quite like that. It's really nice. It shows a lot of respect they have for both of them, that they really want to work together even when they're apart. So he can explain it to her, she can do it, and she still looks stunning in the snow, trying to practice on how you help an ailing soldier when the firing is still going on. And she was doing so many things. I mean, I would have been frozen to death there. Did she look gorgeous? She
looked stunning, didn't she? And if you're a soldier and she comes to help you, you'd be like, me, I'm going to help me.
But I'm not well yet. Stay a bit longer.
She's exactly the example that you want to see, isn't it, in terms of what royalty should be and how you should serve. And I think that's one of the things that probably got Meghan's goat up, because she saw how admired and how adored Catherine is, because
she got to walk behind her.
Yeah,
what does that matter? But it did, and yes. So we leave it there.
Well, that's it. We've done everything. I think
we've done everything.
But there's so much more. I'm so excited. The coronation is coming. We've got what else is happening? What's coming up with the royal?
Well, it's the main coronation that's really important. And one of the people who wrote about it said to us, "Why don't you write about the ones who aren't known so well?" So we're going to sort of try and do a little story about some of them when we've got a little bit of extra time, and spread ourselves out a bit more, because we've had such an amazing response and we're very grateful for that. So thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll see you next time.